Hey guys, in this video I will be explaining more about specific terms and symbols you might see in the music. One that we need to talk about is called the key signature. The key signature is the group of sharps, which looks like that, flats, which looks like that, or nothing found at the beginning of a piece of music. It is also found at the beginning of every line, set of staff lines at the beginning. Now we have to kind of talk about what the key is in music, and it can be a really tricky thing to think about. The easiest way to explain it is it's just the ordering of the musical alphabet. When you order the musical alphabet, you set up which pitches are the most important, how one pitch leads to another, and so it sets up a whole set of expectation. But really, a key is a lot like a painter putting specific paint shades and colors and tints on their palette, the ones that they're definitely going to use. So that's what we're going to go with for right now. This is an example of a key signature that has flats. You'll notice that we have a clef sign at the beginning, then the key signature comes right after it. Here's a key signature that has two sharps. You'll notice that these flats and sharps are always in a specific order. That makes it easier to be able to distinguish what the key is. And then there's a key signature with nothing. Now these things are something that you will see all of the time, so you better have a pretty good idea. The next thing we're going to talk about is what needs to happen if a musician needs to play a section again. We call these repeats. Maybe you've seen this sign before. It looks like a double bar with two dots. Those dots usually surround the third line from the bottom. And this is a repeat. This is the one we see the most, and it is specifically called a da capo repeat. Da capo is Italian for the head, and in music, the head is the beginning of the piece. So when you see a da capo repeat, you just repeat all the way from the beginning. However, you could also see, oh, this is what it looks like in real music. It's beautiful. Now, if you only want to repeat just a single section, not the entire thing, then you would use a different set. You would need to have two sets of repeats. There is this, which is oddly enough a backwards repeat, and then this is the repeat. So when you're going along in the music, you will see, you start here at the beginning, you'll go, 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 and then you have to go back and repeat. Usually repeats imply that you're only going to do a repeat one additional time. And so usually we have different signs and symbols if you have to do more. So when we have repeats, we may want a different ending at the end of the repeated section, and that's when we have repeats with first endings and second endings. You'll see that we have a repeat sign. We may have a backwards repeat sign, and then we have a bracket at the top of the staff with a number 1, and then a bracket with a number 2. When you play here, you would start with the first measure, play to the second measure, go to the third measure, repeat back to the first, second. When you get through the second time, you entirely skip the first ending because you already played it, and you go right to the second ending until the end. This helps people to remember. Music literacy is important. Music literacy means you understand what the things you are seeing is what they're telling you to do. If you read this and you just read from left to right like we would in English, that seems to admit something about yourself that would be seen as rather negative. I like to eat puppies. However, if you see that there's a first and second ending, good musicians know that you would go, I like to eat repeat. I like puppies. Please don't eat puppies. It never ends well. So make sure you got that. Now, there are specific ways we can have repeats, and there are different signs that we use to cut to different sections. You might see these things, you might not. One that you're probably not going to see is this multiple measure repeat. This means you just repeat whatever was in the measure right before it. This 2 above it, or the 2 forward slashes, means you repeat the 2 measures before this particular sign. We don't see that a lot in vocal music. You see it a lot in instrumental music. Now remember, da capo means the beginning. Sometimes you'll see DC al fine, da capo al fine. Al doesn't mean it's your Uncle Al or someone named Albert. Al is to the, and fine in Italian means the end. So if you have a repeat that is DC al fine, you would go back to the beginning and repeat till you saw the fine. It looks like the word fine. Yeah, not the same. So can you see how there's a fine here? If we were to start, we would start on this particular line, the one at top, go through all four measures, go to the second line, and then the third line, the fourth line, which has a backwards repeat, so we'd play this part twice, and then we would go here. Now, this is not a da capo repeat, this is a DS al fine. DS means the sign, and Italian, that's dal segno. That GN is just like in the word lasagna. It's just how they have that ñ sound, or like if you know Spanish, how they have the tilde over the N, that ñ. This is how they do it in Italian. Dal segno means the sign. And so whenever you have a DS al fine, like if we get here, we have to go back to the sign. And that's where we start to play again all the way until we get to the fine. Now, there are other repeat things that happen, and there are strange situations all over the place. Don't be scared of the signs and symbols you can see. They are incredibly helpful and will tell you exactly where you need to go.